Sage Mode is easily one of the most overpowered techniques in the entire series. It massively boosts the power of ninjutsu, genjutsu, and taijutsu to the point where just learning Sage Mode automatically makes you stronger than 99% of shinobi, with mastering it being the only possible way Naruto could get strong enough to have a shot at beating Pain. And when the Leaf's main strategist Shikaku Nara discovered that Naruto had mastered Sage Mode, he decided that no one in the Leaf village should help him fight Pain because Naruto had reached a completely different level. Keep in mind, Shikaku had never seen Naruto actually fight, but the mere fact that he had learned Sage Mode was enough for him to be convinced that any attempt to assist Naruto would just be getting in his way. So, it should be pretty obvious how overpowered Sage Mode really is, which is why in this video, I'm going to rank every Sage Mode user by strength. Before we begin, as always, if you enjoy Naruto content, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to support the channel, and without further ado, let's start the ranking. I know Jiraiya being in last place might ruffle some feathers, but this is just a testament to how strong everyone who mastered Sage Mode is, rather than Jiraiya being weak. In fact, from the beginning of the series, Jiraiya is hyped up as one of the strongest guys around. After all, he has been stated to be Orochimaru's equal on multiple occasions, with Ebisu even confirming that Jiraiya is the only one who could fight Orochimaru, since only a Sannin can defeat another Sannin. Jiraiya scaling to Orochimaru is extremely impressive, because Orochimaru is capable of taking on Hiruzen, who was hailed as the strongest of the 5 Kage, implying that at this point in time, the Sannin also surpassed the Kage. This means that in part 1, the Sannin are likely the most powerful shinobi in the entirety of the 5 great nations, since the Kage are typically considered to be the strongest ninja of their respective villages. So surpassing the Kage indicates that the Sannin are stronger than everyone in their nation as well. This narrative is actually very consistent, even in Shippuden, as it's not until the Kage Summit, where the Sannin have been out of commission for a while, and the 5 Kage have had time to train to catch up to them, that the second fanbook implies that they are comparable to each other. So, all of this is to say that Jiraiya, along with the rest of the Sannin, should clearly be considered high Kage level shinobi, and when Jiraiya awakens Sage Mode, his power goes up massively. The best example illustrating the ginormous gap between base and Sage Mode Jiraiya is during the fight against Pain, where Nagato is completely caught off guard by a kick from Jiraiya because of how much faster he got from entering Sage Mode. In this same fight, we also see Jiraiya drop his sandal and then close the gap between him and Pain with a massive Rasengan before the sandal even hits the ground, which goes to show that Kishimoto was really trying to hype up how much faster Sage Mode makes Jiraiya. But what's even more impressive than Jiraiya's physical stats in Sage Mode is the Frog Song Genjutsu Ma and Pa can use when he enters the form. This Genjutsu was able to completely paralyze 3 paths of Pain, and it's the only reason Jiraiya was able to take out the paths, as otherwise he could only really contend with them when it was one-on-one, and admitted that he'd be killed having to fight all 3 at once. And Frog Song gets even more broken when you look at its entry in the 3rd databook, where it's confirmed that it can work on an unlimited amount of targets as long as they're in hearing range, and it's also just blatantly stated to be the most powerful genjutsu, implying Frog Song is even stronger than Tsukiyomi. So, no matter which way you look at it, Jiraiya is a massive threat in Sage Mode. And despite being at the bottom of the ranking, he is still more than capable of beating the brakes off of almost any shinobi, and even giving most Kage a run for their money. Of all the people on this list, Kabuto is by far the best at actually using Sage Mode. In fact, he is the only Sage Mode user who can passively take in nature energy while moving, which was previously thought to be impossible, even by Fukasaku, who taught both Jiraiya and Naruto how to use Sage Mode in the first place. But this ranking is about how strong Sage Mode users are overall, not just how well they can use the form, and in that regard, Kabuto is not number 1. However, Kabuto is still a powerhouse in his own right, with him being stated to have surpassed Orochimaru, which means that all the scaling I gave earlier for the Sannin being stronger than the 5 Kage would apply to this version of Kabuto. You can pretty easily scale Kabuto far beyond that as well, since he was capable of keeping up with both Edo Itachi and EMS Sasuke. Of course, there is a lot of nuance to this fight, because Itachi and Sasuke weren't fighting against Kabuto with lethal intent, as they still needed him alive to undo the Edo Tensei. But, on the other hand, Kabuto was also holding back against Sasuke specifically, as he wanted Sasuke's body to be intact so he could run experiments on it. Because of this, no matter how you interpret the fight, Sasuke, Itachi, and Kabuto should all still be relative to each other, which is pretty insane for Kabuto, as we see that a holding back 3 Tomo Edo Itachi was capable of easily swapping hands with KCM-1 Naruto. This establishes Kabuto as a threat beyond KCM Naruto, which shouldn't be surprising at all considering his vast arsenal of jutsu. This includes but isn't limited to Suigetsu's ability to liquefy himself, Karin's regeneration, Kimimaru's bones, Kidomaru's webs, and Taiyuya's flute genjutsu, which even Sasuke and Itachi needed each other's help to break out of. And this is all without mentioning any of Kabuto's original jutsu, which are very strong as well. One of these jutsu that Kabuto created is the White Extreme Attack, which essentially acts as a light and sound grenade that shakes the air itself. When Kabuto used it in his fight against Itachi and Sasuke, it affected them so badly that Sasuke was forced to let down his Susanoo, and had it not been for Itachi, Kabuto would have captured him right there. Another one of Kabuto's jutsu that's extremely overpowered is the Inorganic Reincarnation, which allows Kabuto to control any non-living object in the terrain. This is an extremely broken jutsu, and the 4th databook even notes that Itachi was surprised by it, as he only had enough time to protect Sasuke, but not himself. Since Itachi is one of the smartest characters in the entire series, the fact that he was caught off guard by Kabuto's Inorganic Reincarnation means that it could pretty much surprise anyone, and it's super fast as well, which makes the jutsu a very deadly asset. Summing everything up, Kabuto's raw power in conjunction with his vast arsenal makes him very deadly to go up against, and one of the strongest shinobi of all time. Minato's stage mode is really interesting to talk about, because people either think that he's really good at it, or really bad, with no in between. The main argument against Minato's ability to use sage mode is both him and Kakashi saying that it isn't his forte. Specifically, Minato states that it takes too long for him to gather nature energy, and that he can't maintain it for long. However, it is worth noting that Minato's fighting style in general is very fast-paced. After all, he's one of the fastest shinobi in history, so what's considered slow to him may not necessarily be the same as everyone else. And when Kakashi mentions that sage mode isn't Minato's forte, he's likely going off of what Minato told him in the past. This is a generous interpretation of Minato's and Kakashi's statements, but I do think it's definitely warranted, because we see that when Minato fights Ten Tails Madara, he is able to enter sage mode instantly, which completely contradicts the idea that he needs a significant amount of time to enter the form. Some people argue that Minato could have been gathering nature energy off screen before we see him enter sage mode, but this is completely debunked by the fact that Minato threw a kunai at Madara's feet right before he goes into sage mode, and we know that it's impossible to gather nature energy while moving, meaning he had to have gathered the nature energy in the time frame of throwing the kunai and activating sage mode, which was a couple seconds at most. So, all of this is to say that Minato should at least be decent at sage mode, hence why he has the orange pigmentation around his eyes and no other frog-like features, which Fukasaku remarks is a sign of a successful sage. With that out of the way, it's time to finally go over how strong sage mode Minato is. At the end of chapter 627, when Minato and the other Hokage depart to help the Shinobi Alliance, they are stated to be the strongest soldiers. This would put Minato along with the other Hokage above every Shinobi that was fighting on the side of the Shinobi Alliance, with the exception of Naruto, as he had just given all of his chakra to the Shinobi Alliance, and the next time we see him, Naruto is very fatigued, which Kurama even points out. Plus, 10 chapters before this statement is made, Kurama does confirm that KCM2 Naruto has surpassed Minato, so it just wouldn't be consistent for Minato to be stronger than full power Naruto at this point in the series. That being said, this statement is still pretty good for Minato, because Sasuke had just declared his intent to join the battlefield in the very same chapter that Minato is stated alongside the other Hokage to be the strongest. And it's actually very consistent for the Edo Hokage to be stronger than EMS Sasuke at this point in the series, as Tobirama had shaken him up by chakra flexing with a single finger, and Hiruzen is able to react to Jubito better than Sasuke could. Keep in mind, this statement putting Minato over Sasuke should also be in reference to his base form, as Minato isn't confirmed to have KCM until chapter 631 and doesn't use Sage Mode until chapter 665. This is enough for me to rank Minato above Sage Mode Kabuto, as Sasuke had gotten stronger from the Kabuto fight due to his hatred increasing, which Tobirama states to be the source of the Uchiha's power. So, if Minato was already stronger than a more powerful EMS Sasuke in base, then when he goes into Sage Mode, which greatly boosts his speed, taijutsu, and ninjutsu, Minato should definitely surpass Kabuto as well. It should be no surprise that Naruto is in the top half of this list, because he was constantly honing his ability to use Sage Mode throughout the series. For clarification, I'm not using Naruto's Sage 6 mode, granted to him by Hagoromo, and if I were to, then he'd obviously be ranked number 1 for beating the brakes off of 10 Tails Madara. The form of Naruto I am ranking in this video is Biju Sage Mode Naruto, who is still extremely impressive in his own right. The first thing worth noting about Biju Sage Mode is that Naruto can absorb nature energy much faster in this state, meaning him having to sit still for minutes on end in order to activate Sage Mode is purely a thing of the past. As for how strong Naruto is, even with KCM2 by itself, he was already practically a demigod, and stacking Sage Mode on top of it makes Naruto an even bigger powerhouse due to the massive power boost that nature energy gives. Some people have actually argued against this because Naruto didn't use Sage Mode when he fought Madara, which could imply that he only used it against Obito due to the fact that 10 Tails Jinchuriki aren't immune to nature energy, and outside of that specific situation, Sage Mode doesn't help him much in KCM2. However, I heavily disagree with this interpretation, because the databook of Naruto the Last directly states the exact opposite when describing Biju Sage Mode, reading, "He receives an immense amount of chakra from Kurama sealed within him. Borrowing this power, Naruto demonstrates overwhelming strength. Furthermore, by simultaneously activating Sage Mode, his sensing abilities and the power of his techniques increase significantly." The latter half of this statement clearly implies that even in KCM2, Naruto's jutsu gets a massive buff from Sage Mode, and even though Naruto did have 2 years of additional training in the last, it wouldn't change how Biju Sage Mode fundamentally works. And it should go without saying that Naruto had surpassed Sage Mode Minato at this point in the series, as he was even capable of keeping up with KCM Minato. Don't get me wrong, Minato's Sage Mode is powerful, but having access to half the 9 Tails is a significantly bigger power-up, so Naruto fighting alongside this way stronger Minato means that he should be massively stronger and faster than Sage Mode Minato, especially since Biju Sage Mode Naruto would go on to get even faster than this when he starts to adapt to 10 Tails Obito alongside Sasuke, and actually manage to tag him, which is a ridiculous feat as Obito was literally the fastest character in the verse at this point in the series. Hashirama being this high up on the list should be self-explanatory, and I bet the biggest question most of you are probably wondering right now is why the hell he isn't at number 1. After all, he unironically stared down the full 9 Tails cloaked in Madara Uchiha's perfect Susanoo and proceeded to smile before summoning the 1,000-armed Buddha statue to literally beat the armor off of Kurama. The amount of shinobi without 6 chakra who could have pulled this off can be counted on one finger, because it's literally just Hashirama. The only person ranked below Hashirama who could have a decent argument made for them being number 2 is Naruto, but even then I would still take Hashirama over him, because it's stated that both Biju Sage Mode Naruto and Sasuke will surpass Hashirama and Madara one day, implying they still haven't caught up to them yet. To be fair, both of these statements were made before Naruto and Sasuke were shown adapting to Obito, but the problem is that this only proves that Naruto got faster, not stronger. So for a ranking purely based off of power, I would still have to side with Hashirama over Naruto. Now I know putting Madara above Hashirama may feel a bit weird, since Hashirama literally beat him at the Valley of the End, but the thing is that this version of Madara is way stronger than his final Valley counterpart. Not only does Madara now have Hashirama's Sage Mode, he's also got a Rinnegan, which should probably make him stronger than Hashirama. The reason why this is the case is because right after Madara obtained Sage Mode, before he even got the Rinnegan, Hashirama stated that he was regaining his former strength. This means that Blind Sage Mode Madara was already regaining the power of his Final Valley self, which should mean that he's catching up to Prime Hashirama as well, since the difference between them was literally described as paper thin in the 4th databook. So, when Madara proceeds to gain a Rinnegan on top of this, it's very likely that he's surpassed both his old self and Hashirama by extension. Keep in mind, despite no longer having access to the EMS, Madara should still be able to use his Susanoo, since he was able to activate it while completely blind. And, on top of his old powers, Madara also has access to one new Rinnegan ability that definitively makes him stronger than Hashirama, which is the power to make a Limbo clone. If you don't know, a Limbo clone is an invisible, indestructible clone that has strength equal to whoever summons it and can only be detected if you have 6-Paz Sage Mode or a Rinnegan. Madara used this power to defeat all 9-tailed beasts simultaneously, and there was literally nothing they could have done to resist it, because it's impossible to harm Madara's Limbo clone unless you have 6-Paz Chakra. And remember, Hashirama doesn't have 6-Paz Chakra either, so Madara has to be placed above him, because unfortunately for Hashirama, there's nothing in his arsenal that would be able to counter the Limbo clone. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe and click the video on the end screen. Later.